Biz to the Moon, report live from the metaverse in the Horizon world. And guys, very important, when you enter the crypto space, you gotta pay attention to the macroeconomics. You gotta know what's going on out there in the world, not just in your neighborhood, but what's going on overseas, you see, because that's what really matters in the world of money. And guys, lately, when I've been doing my research, I be feeling like I'm at the trap house with all this BRICS talk. And if you haven't been paying attention, the BRICS nation, they're chucking the deuces to the US dollar. If you're not familiar with the BRICS nation, I'm talking Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They're fed up, they're throwing in the towel. And hey, say it ain't so, because from the looks of it, from the sounds of it, they'll be opting for DLT. Guys, DLT, distributed ledger technology, is pretty much crypto in the blockchain. You know what this is feeling like? You know what this is looking like? Crypto mass adoption. Yup, it's underway each and every single day. All you gotta do is pay attention. And now, right now, I'm gonna need you to check out this BRICS Nation update from I-24 News. Check it out.
Is the United States dollar under threat? Well, the U.S. dollar became the backbone of the global economy after World War II because of America's robust economy, its democracy, and its transparent regulatory systems, which made the nation seem like a safe place for international investors. But now the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have announced plans to develop a new currency. Their goal is to reduce reliance on the U.S. dollar and other Western currencies as well, and protect themselves from international pressure. In fact, Brazil and China have already struck a deal to bypass the dollar when paying for trade goods, which is a major milestone in Beijing's long-term plans to establish its own currency, the yuan, as the dominant international currency. So, what will this new currency look like, and what will it mean for the dollar? Well, joining us now is Professor John Quelch from the Miami Herbert Business School at the University of Miami. So the BRICS nations aren't a formal trade bloc. So if they do in fact create this new currency, how will it ultimately be used?
So I think what we'd find is that it would initially be used in very large transactions that are government-style transactions between two or more of the countries involved. Just to give a little bit of background here, it is the case that the U.S. dollar has a role that is outsized relative to the 24% of world GDP that the U.S. commands. So the U.S. dollar is involved in almost 90% of all international trade settlements, and around about 60% of foreign currency reserves around the world held by central banks are held in U.S. dollars. So the BRICS nations combined, their GDP is around about 25% of world GDP, vis-a-vis the US now at 24%. And so it's not surprising that these nations collectively are saying, hey, wait a minute, why should our macroeconomic policies and exchange rates be at the mercy of US dollar Federal Reserve decision-making?
So break down what this would mean. If this currency does come to fruition, how is it going to impact the strength of the US dollar, and what does it mean for the average person out there?
Well, a good analogy, Natasha, would be the euro, which of course has now been around for 3+ decades. And when the euro came in, it was, not regarded as that strong an opponent to the dollar. But the fact is that the European nations have, of course, used the euro to facilitate all of their intra-European trade, and some trade beyond that as well is now carried out in euros. So what I think you would see here, if there is such a BRICS-type association, which I think, by the way, would be very difficult to pull off because there there is no trade bloc, as you said, that involves these 5 nations. But if there were such a currency, as I said, it would primarily be used initially for trade among the 5 nations, before then being potentially expanded out to other nations. The Chinese have, of course, long aspired to develop a digital yuan as an alternative trading currency. They haven't made a tremendous amount of progress, and so I think this partnership is reflective of that, and the Chinese are trying to use the BRICS association as a way to further push the yuan, though they're saying it doesn't matter if it's a digital rupee, a digital yuan, a digital ruble, but in actuality, I think we all know that it would likely be a digital yuan, or at least be heavily based on a digital yuan if it were to come into existence.
Yeah, I always say this. You don't have to be an expert. Do what I do. Sit back, relax, and take notes from the experts. Shout out to Professor John Quelch out in Miami for all that info. And don't go thinking that the BRICS nation is capping on you. Don't go thinking that the BRICS nation is pump faking you. Check out this clip from Kenya's president, William Ruto, as he denounces the US dollar. Check it out.
As a government, we have made innovative intentions and undertaken innovative strategy to ensure that we ease the burden of availability of dollar in our market. We just concluded last week an arrangement, a market-driven arrangement in our fuel sector that will see Kenya access all our fuel needs on a deferred 6-month credit. That will eliminate a demand of $500 million every month from this market. And therefore, for the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses.
Yeah! Why does this all even matter? Well, if the US dollar, inflated and manipulated as it is, loses its status as the world reserve currency, that means that the US dollar will be devalued and not worth much. Not financial advice, but you're gonna have to find somewhere to put your money, not only to hedge against inflation, but to hedge against hyperinflation. And once again, I have to give the disclaimer, because you know I'm just a half-body avatar roaming around these metaverse streets talking about some crypto, but this ain't financial advice, guys. But what you would want to do if you want to be ahead of the wave, you're going to have to jump into the crypto space. But of course, you're going to have to DYOR, do your own research. This is Biz to the Moon, reporting live from the metaverse. I'm finna see you soon.